sacrifice the human save the world? Modern historians have doubted the existence of a massive skull display that 16th century Spanish conquistadors claimed to have seen in the ancient city of Tenochtitlan, until now. Researchers have uncovered a vast collection of human skulls beneath modern Mexico City, in an area that was once the epicenter of the Aztec Empire. In 2015, the team discovered and began excavating the remains of the Tzompantli, an enormous rack of skulls in front of the Templo Mayor, which is flanked by 2 towers of skull and mortar. Both are believed to be part of human sacrifice rituals. After taking out the tribute's beating heart, priests decapitate the body, reduce it to a skull, and carve holes into the side to mount the skulls on wooden poles. The Mexicans performed the ritual as an offering to the gods and believed doing so would ensure the continued existence of their civilization. 75% of the skulls found at the site belonged to warriors, men aged 20 to 35, but 20% were found to be from women and 5% were of children. Researchers have taken DNA samples from the excavated skulls, which they hope can provide more insight into the grisly ritual and its victims. Look what we found!
Skeleton found in jail cell, likely man who accidentally locked himself in 10 years ago. A skeleton found locked in a holding cell of an abandoned Paterson, New Jersey police department, may be that of a homeless person. The remains were discovered this week by the owner of the building and a contractor during a walkthrough. The building was boarded up in 1980 after it was gutted by an enormous fire. Police believe the man may have been a vagrant looking for shelter inside the abandoned building. Authorities think he then got into one of the jail cells, accidentally locked himself inside, and wasn't able to get out. Based on the water bottle and over-the-counter medication found next to the body, officials believe he may have died 8 to 10 years ago. Paterson police have not yet been able to identify the man and are looking for help from the public in identifying the body.
For crying out loud. Last week, Florida couple Olivia Sari and Nicholas Larison got busted by the TSA for allegedly putting little Slim here in their checked luggage. They were traveling home from Erie International in Pennsylvania when baggage detectors picked up something weird. To their surprise, TSA agents reportedly discovered the 6-month-old female cat inside their bags when they took a closer look. Airport police said Slim was placed inside the luggage without food, water, or air. Sari and Larison were cited but have yet to enter pleas over the incident. As for Slim, she's reportedly fine and being looked after by the Humane Society of Northwestern Pennsylvania.
New drug found in dirt. Scientists have discovered a new group of antibiotics in soil. Researchers examined some 2,000 soil samples from across the US. Following analysis of the samples, they discovered a new group of antibiotics called melacidins. The team applied the melacidin to rats infected with the MRSA virus and found it annihilated the infection. Lead researcher Sean Brady told the BBC, "It's impossible to tell whether or not the discovery would make it to clinics."
Plague could be older than previously thought. Scientists have unearthed data that changes current thinking on how old the plague is. Research published in the journal Nature Communication describes how scientists found the bacterium Yersinia pestis on the teeth of 3,800-year-old human remains in Samara, Russia. Researchers looked at the remains of 9 people. 2 of them had the bacteria. Yersinia pestis gave rise to the bubonic plague. The scientists used sequencing to analyze the samples and found that they predate current thinking on the plague's lineage, 3,000 years, by around 1,000 years. That puts it somewhere in the Bronze Age. Ever heard of the Black Death, Homo sapiens? It's an ancient plague that racked up a body count of over 300 million people. That's what the bacteria they found could lead to back then. Researchers suggest that there was at least 2 strains of plague lineage floating around at the time. Previously, it was suggested to be 1. Rare earths minerals found near Japanese island. The Japanese economy got some good news thanks to a scientific discovery last week. Researchers have found a large deposit of rare earth minerals near a remote island around 1,200 miles southeast of Japan. Research published in Scientific Reports posits that the seafloor surrounding Nishinoshima Island is laden with 16 million tons of rare earth oxides. There are 17 kinds of rare earth minerals. They are economically valuable and technologically critical, forming components found in smartphones, computers, and electric cars. On a global scale, the study estimates that the find could meet 62 years of yttrium demand, 47 years of europium, 32 years of terbium, and 56 years of dysprosium needs. But as the South China Morning Post reports, challenges remain, such as the logistics of mining the ocean floor on a very, very faraway island. There could be life on Mars after all. After decades of searching for organic compounds on the red planet, scientists have finally been successful. Rock and soil samples taken by NASA's Curiosity rover from an ancient Martian lake bed has yielded organic molecules believed to be 3 billion years old. Organic molecules are chemical compounds that contain carbon. They can come from both living and non-living sources and are the building blocks for all life on Earth. Curiosity's sample analysis on Mars instrument heated the samples to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, releasing small hydrocarbons that may be fragments of bigger, more complex molecules. While the organics could have biological sources, NASA says they are just as likely to have merged from geological processes or from a meteor crashing into the planet. Still, the discovery of the molecules sheds light on the planet's history, painting a picture of an ancient Mars that had favorable conditions for life. It likewise spurs on future explorations, with both NASA and the European Space Agency developing new technologies to search for signs of life. Meet the eye motif. Aussie scientists just found something new, cool, and rather obscure about our genetic blueprint. Research published in the journal Nature Chemistry details a new type of DNA structure named the eye motif. Here's the knot-like structure again. What's interesting about it is how it's built. Normal DNA is made up of bases coded as letters. These are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. These all bind to another letter except in the eye motif where they don't. Normally, cytosine binds to guanine and vice versa, but in the new structure, cytosine was found to pair with cytosine. And that has researchers puzzled as to what that means, but they do have some ideas. According to The Independent, scientists reckon the new structure may be partly responsible for reading DNA and turning them into useful substances. Gizmodo reports they may act as a sort of switch for controlling gene expression, but could mean nothing at all. The Independent reports that the structure has been cited previously, but this is the first time researchers have found it inside living cells. One thing's for sure, our bodies are a whole lot more complicated than we realize.